Howdy folks, I've just sat down. I've just finished doing a video, tasting video on the Nova Lager brew. Friday, it's lunchtime. I'm on my first day of being allowed to drink again after my surgery. And let me tell you, I'm enjoying. So I thought, while I'm going, I'll get this fella done. And this is not the first, it will be the last, and this is probably the official tasting on the Crunchie Imperial Dessert Stout. It's been a while now since I brewed it up. Let me find some info. I have not prepared. I've just bloody dove into this fucking completely unprepared. But anyway, I will find him here and get some more. I just want to check when it was actually brewed, more than anything else, just to check how far back we are, because it's been a little while. And let's go there. Find where we're at. Okay, bottled on the 3rd of August. So that's 8, 4, 5. So we're 6.5 months old. And that's what she looks like in the glass. She's dark as all bloody as it has been. With this incredibly creamy, thick head. Oh god, it just smells. Oh. The smell is just crazy. Now, I've had this in the fridge and I've been pulling tasters off here and there, and I've been drinking it as I go along, and I've sort of really got myself untangled from the reviews and whatnot of the beer and how it travelled. I haven't had one for a while. The last weekend technically, weekend before I went in hospital, the brother was over. Brother, sister, mum and dad, they come and had a visit. And had a session with the brother, and he pulled off one of these. I didn't have one, I just had a couple of mouthfuls of his, but he was just blown away with the flavours. Not really, it's funny because he didn't really like the beer, but was blown away by the flavours he was getting. Now, he's everyone knows, the little brother, he's a Ted drinker. He does like getting into the home brews when he comes over. He tries everything out, but he's not a big worldly exponent of the craft beer. So it did knock him around a little bit. It wasn't really his thing, but he did like it and he drank it. I had a mouthful and I went, oh okay, and reminded me that I had to get on and do this taster, do this video. I'm sitting here right now, home, nothing to do, so let's get into it. So I'll link up videos for brew day and whatever tasting videos I've done previously. I think there was only one, because this beer is very different now than what it was in that original tasting. Those who don't remember and don't want to go back, this was a beer that came to me. I woke up one morning and so this idea, I wanted to make a beer with crunchies, but not just a beer, an imperial stout, basically a dessert stout, and off we went. We didn't quite get quite to the imperial. I'm still calling it an imperial, though technically we didn't get there. We finished at 7.9% alcohol on this brew. There is some bottles I've still got here of part of the brew which I added dry enzyme to, which finished up at 10% alcohol. And I think the intention really was to pull one of those out and do it as well. But cool, because this thing finished ridiculously high on the OG. Finished at 10.36. It finished about 8 points higher than I expected. I was thinking it was going to get to about 10.28, which would have got me, you know, into the high 9s, inside the high 8%. 0.8. Yeah, it would have got us around 9ish%, which was more what I was aiming for. So we fell short of that mark, but this has now had time to sit, let everything drop out, let everything amalgamate and intertwine. And right now it's a little bit too cold and it's not really opened up. But when I was young, it had some quite savage chocolate tones. Not savage in a real bad way, but the beer itself just wasn't as friendly as I would have liked. You know, given I was aiming for a dessert, not just simply an imperial stout, but an imperial dessert stout. You know, which for me is an implication of some nice sweetness, and it's approachable and it's gentle. It's not savage. An imperial on its own, as a regular thing, it's a big beer. It is savage. It's ballsy. It's in your face. The idea was trying to get this into a place of subtlety. Now, that's something I probably haven't really addressed on any of the videos leading into this video, but really that's what it was that's sort of where the thinking was. And I don't think I've quite achieved that. There's not enough of things like lactose, vanilla to really pull that off. Yeah, but as it's warming, but as it sits, it's a bloody delightful sipping beer. It's boozy. There's a touch of astringency, but it's just loaded with chocolate, coffee. It's rich. Yeah, and like I said, it's carrying some of those bitter coffee notes, bitter chocolate notes. Not massively bitter, but it's a little bit. And as I said, ideally that would have been counteracted a little bit more by the vanilla and some lactose to bring it into that dessert state. So as it sits, for me, it's really sitting in just a basic. It's on just the straight imperial side of the line of the ledger. But yeah, I think it certainly needed a little more lactose. Now, I'm trying to. Now it's a crazy recipe. As the amount of stuff that's in there. There's extracts and bloody. It's based on the tin, which in itself is. It's a little crazy because so much of this beer is extract. Essentially, it's an extract beer. Well, there is no grain. No, there is a tiny little bit, but not much. It's an extract beer with a bit of a grain steep. There's only 360, 400. There's under a kilo of grain in the whole beer. 8% beer, and under a kilo of grain. It's extracts, dark extract, stout tin, dextrose, light dry malt, so table sugar, milk sugar. Now there's the thing, lactose, milk sugar. It needed more. 240 grams. This was a 23 litre batch. Wasn't that big, but anyway. Oh, that's with 9 litre keg there and bottles. But yeah. But yeah, I think I was looking. The target was 8.5% on the original recipe. Where is it? I think I was looking for 1020. Yeah, I was looking for. No, that's all. Don't worry about that. But the reality is, what I think is really needed. I've got no mention of vanilla here. Did I have vanilla? Dry malt sticks, lactose, saccharin, and crunchy. But actually, it would appear I didn't add any vanilla at all. There's some cocoa powder. Okay, so as it sits, as it is, now I'll relink the recipe down the bottom. I think it's on the Brew Davids. But for me, in the recipe there's 300 grams of table sugar, which was simply just to try to boost the alcohol a bit. I would be probably replacing that with lactose, so increasing lactose to about 500 grams, which is a fair whack. But this is specifically if you want to really get this into dessert territory, and then drop in some vanilla, a good whack of vanilla. And by good whack, I'm thinking probably a little bottle of good extract. Like give it a good vanilla hit, and really bring the sweetness up. I'm hearing people say, "Hey, bring the cost up as well." Yes, I will bring the cost up. A bottle of good extract is probably somewhere in the vicinity of $15 to $20. I think. I'm trying to think what I paid for my last little bottle of extract. They're like 20, like they're a little bottle. They're 20 ml or whatever they are. They're only, but they're bloody pricey. But I've got a funny feeling. I think I might have paid like $12 or $14 for the little bottle I've got here. Yeah, so somewhere in that vicinity, or yeah, spending it's similar sort of amount on a whack of beans, whatever you want. I've gone away from using beans simply because I can't get fresh beans, and I've got to buy them from Woolies, and I just really don't trust how fucking old they are. But yeah, that's what I'll be looking at. And I think that'd be fine. And I think at 7.9%, drop that bit of sugar out, even if it stayed exactly as it is with the lactose, you're going to come down to about 7.5%, which is still, for most people, that's still a very, big beer. You could increase just the basic, dry malt to bring the alcohol up if you wanted to. And right now, I'm wishing I'd actually done the extract of the brew with the enzyme in it to see how this beer sits at that higher level. I'll do a separate video on that. I'll stick a bottle in. I'll do that next week. So keep your eye out for that. And I'll see how that travels, because that that is truly an imperial. But as this sits, it's quite a unique beer. as it is, how much of those 9 crunchy bars contributing? I really don't know. I really don't know. I can't say. They've got to be having some impact on the overall beer. That's the whole thing. They've got to be having some impact. You can't put, 9 crunchy, some of it's in it without having some amount of impact. Are they noticeable? Yeah, probably not. Probably not as they are. And the reality is you'd have to brew the beer without them to know for sure. But that's a tasty beer. It's a beer designed to be drunk in a smaller quantity at the end of the night, when you're finishing off. And it will certainly do that. And let me tell you, that is a beer that will just go down really well sitting by a fire. And just sipping away. It's getting a little bit more dark fruit, a bit more boozy, a bit more port wine finish as it warms. But it's not losing its inherent underlying tones in the process. It's not falling away. It's not becoming, undrinkable or difficult. So, yeah. As much as this beer stems, from a crazy idea, crazy thought, and like I said, Brew Ventures. This is what, this is what brewing is all about. Well, it's not what it's all about, but these are the things that you can do. Have ideas. Don't be afraid to try them. You've only got to look commercially at the bloody amount of things they're throwing into beer and they're playing around with to know that you can pretty much play with anything. If they can throw fucking donuts into a beer, if I can throw crunchy bars into a beer, and let me tell you, it does sound like a crazy idea, but not that long after I posted the video on Brew Day, the exact same thing come out commercially. What's their name? Quilo? I think they're Asian owned, but they're brewed by, I think, Rocky Ridge in Western Australia. Very well respected beers actually. I haven't got to try it, and I will try some soon. I want to. But they did exactly this, a crunchy stout. I don't think they actually used crunchies. I think they were trying to replicate the flavour of crunchies, but the idea was still the same. So don't ever be afraid to play around. Remember, we played around in our own backyards. If something goes wrong, it doesn't fucking matter. Our livelihoods aren't resting on it. Our family's food on the table is not resting on us making, good beer. If we make the occasional beer that's, doesn't work, so what? We're playing around sometimes gets you really good things. And look, realistically, I'm going to tell you, I've not had many imperial stouts that are any better than that. So, and they're going to cost you, I've seen them cost as much, $20+ a can to buy commercial stuff, which is of the same sort of range as that. So anyway, guys, comments, questions down the bottom. Patrons, thank you. Subscribers, thank you. There's links down the bottom if you want to get, you're interested in jumping on Patreon. Because hey, it's Patreon. to some degree it allows me to do this sort of thing, even though I've just talked about doing it yourself. But thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments. Cheers guys. But for now, I'm gone. Friday afternoon. I'm going to sit back now and just glow in the buzz of this Imperial Crunchy Dessert Stout. So until I see you again, and we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or talking beer, good brewing. I have a surprising urge to put the glass upside down on my head. Not going to happen.